Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd give you an update on my Nissan Titan XD. It's a 2019. This is the second video. I've had it for 2 years now. I have 15,000 miles and I've had 42 regens. I track that all the time. I've had 0 problems with pretty much anything. There's not anything that I've had a problem with yet. So knock on the dash, no problems yet. So I'm happy to report that. I'd also like to share with you 5 things to extend the life of your Nissan Titan XD Diesel. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. Number 1 is going to have 6 different things to it because it's the OBD2 reader. What you want to do is purchase one of these. It plugs into your OBD2 port under your dash, and it will help you monitor the systems on your diesel. The OBD2 reader that I purchased is the Scangauge, and I'll leave a link below to that. It's the Scangauge II, and it cost about $170. I think it's well worth it because it has X gauges. And these are the readouts are the things that you can download specific to the Nissan Titan XD Diesel. So one of the first things that you're going to monitor with the OBD2 is going to be your soot level. That's always something that you have to monitor because as it goes up, you're getting closer to a regen. And so you have to be aware of that. Okay, the second thing that you want to monitor is your regen, whether it's on or off. It's so important to know when it's not only regenning, but when it's almost complete. Because if you start making these really short drives, maybe 2, 3, 4 miles, and it has to keep reheating up the exhaust to burn off the soot, then it's going to take longer and longer to actually go through a regen. So if you can try to, if you know that it's fixing to regen or it's in a regen, go ahead and try to complete that cycle until it says regen off. Okay, the third thing is going to be your EG1 on the X gauge anyway. It's called EG1. That is your turbo temperature. So the temperature at the turbo, and this is very important that you know this because you don't want to shut it off when the turbo is in the higher numbers, maybe 600, 700, 800 degrees. Okay, let's go to the fourth one on the Scangauge, and that's going to be your EG3, and that's the temperature of your exhaust. And that's important because it can go from anywhere from 1 to 200 degrees all the way up to 1200 when it's regenning. And you want to know this so you can monitor that. There are times when it's going to, once it gets finished regenning, and it takes about 25 to 28 miles, something like that each time, the temps will, even though it'll be, the soot level will be down in maybe like the 20s, you can tell it's about to finish because the temperature of the exhaust goes from about 1200 degrees to around 500 degrees very quickly within a couple of minutes, because then it's fixing to quit. So that's another important one to monitor. Okay, the fifth thing that's on your OBD2 that you want to monitor is your TST, and that's your transmission sump temp. Whenever you're towing, it's very important to know what that temperature is, and it's generally between 130 to 150 normally. When you're towing, it'll go up to about 170 degrees, so that's normal. And when we were towing in the Smoky Mountains on some steep grades, it was about 170 or more, but I've never really seen it go much past that. So anyway, that's the number that you want to be looking at. Okay, the last thing that you want to monitor with your OBD2 is going to be your radiator fluid temperature. And this will be roughly around 200 degrees when you're towing. So no big deal. That's a normal reading, and but at least you can follow what it is. So I usually keep that up almost all the time. And then because you can only monitor 4 different things with the Scangauge, I normally will take off the soot level because there's no need, or the regen, because it's not going to regen while you're towing anyway. So those are the other 2 that I'll put on to monitor that when I'm towing. Okay, so let's go on to number 2 is going to be check your DEF fluid. I can't stress to you enough of how important it is to check your DEF fluid. If you just take some and dump it in a couple gallons in there and it's not good, there's people that has had some really bad problems, and then the dealership seems to be on these forums that they're not very good. They don't like to help you, and you have no recourse. You can just go, oh well, I thought it was good. But if you check it, then you can tell them, I checked it and it was good. And the urea that's in the DEF, that makes up DEF, it basically is, it's temperature dependent. It goes bad if it gets too hot for too long. So the shelf life is around 6 months to 8 months. So I only put in enough to keep the needle at around a half full, unless I'm towing. When I know I'm going to be towing, I go ahead and fill it up, because it uses a lot more DEF when you're towing, at least twice as much. So anyway, check. Okay, now on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be an everyday diesel fuel additive. This is what I use. I'm going to go ahead and hold that up there, and hopefully that shows up. This is what I use. It treats up to 400 gallons, and it only costs 18 bucks. You can get it pretty much anywhere. AutoZone, I think Walmart sells it, Amazon, and it's all about the same price, about $18. I'm sorry, an ounce per 26 gallons. I use the basically 2 ounces, and that's like a performance shot. But the most important things on using this and why you want to use it is, the first thing is it disperses the water in the diesel fuel, and that's extremely important. The second thing is going to be that it helps you with is that it boosts the cetane number up by 7 points. And the cetane in the United States is not very good. So every little bit helps, so that's a good thing to do. And the most important thing is this stuff lubricates your CP4 pump. And if you don't know what that is, you might want to Google that, but that's your high pressure pump for your fuel system. And when that thing doesn't work, you're in for some expenses. So this help lubricates that. So okay, on to number 4. Number 4 is going to be replace your fuel filters. There's 2 of them. There's a primary and a secondary. There's one located on the driver's side behind me, right along the frame rail. That one you want to, that one's pretty easy to change. And that's where also you're going to drain water periodically. I'm going to say every 5 to 6 tanks full, every 5 to 6 fill-ups, you want to go ahead and drain some water out of there and make sure there's no water in it. Let's move on to the one that's in the engine compartment. That one's really easy as well. Both of these filters together, they come as a pack. I bought mine from Amazon, which actually came from a Nissan dealership. And it was, I believe, $80. You can get them as low as $65 to $80 for the pair, but change these out. This is the reason why you've got them, is to make sure you don't get any water in the system. Replacing those fuel filters is recommended at 10,000 miles, but if you find that it's really dirty, then you might want to change them earlier. And also, okay, and the last one is going to be number 5. Number 5 is let your turbos cool down. So don't just shut your truck off. You've got to let your turbo cool down, or you're probably going to shorten the life of it. The Scangauge II actually tells you exactly what the temperature is, and I already explained that on the first one. And when you're towing, that thing can get up to 700 or 800 degrees, and you don't just want to turn that off. You don't want to turn your truck off, and then, you know, over time it's going to damage that turbo, the bearings or whatever in it. So make sure you wait till it comes down to around 400 to 500 degrees, and it doesn't take long. If you're making a short trip somewhere, or 10, 20 miles away, it's going to get up to maybe 400 or 500 degrees, and or even 600 if you're on the interstate. But it only takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll be down to a safe point where you can turn the truck off. But just let it idle. Let that thing cool down, and you'll be rewarded. Okay, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and I'm going to try to make some more videos on my Titan, because I love my Titan. That's the only reason why I'm making these videos, is because I think it's a great truck, and I hope that you too, you do too if you've got one. So I'll share some other little maybe quirks and things like that on my next video. But otherwise, thanks for watching.